Yeah, today I really wanted to talk about authority figures. I've come to the understanding that a lot of whatever authority that you are given in this life, over other people. For example, you may be a mother, a father, a husband, um, a teacher, you know, a government official, those kind of stuff. Um, in a lot of ways, that authority is given to you by the Most High, and you should be representing Him. And what happens is that either the person in authority misuses his his authority, or he actually uses his authority to he uses his authority like an instrument for the Most High, and in that sense, he is using it in the proper way, and because people are misusing their authority, um, it causes a lot of you know chaos in society, and this is mainly due to our selfishness and our the fact that we think that our desires are separate from should be separate from the Most High, and because we are so focused on our own pleasures and our own desires, um, which are unlimited, we have we create so much chaos. Why else would less than 1% of the world's population have the majority of the wealth, but they're still getting bailed out? They're still getting all the real welfare, the majority of the welfare, and it's because of this unlimited greed. You know, they say, you know, a greedy person has his greed has no end. It's infinite, and this is what happens when we are so focused on our selfish desires. But when we come to understanding that we are not independent in the Most High, and we ought to use our authority to please the Most High, not only are we more happier, we have more gratitude, we are more satisfied, we are less, you know, disturbed by our senses, and in ancient times, um, the those who had the most authority in society were the spiritual leaders, and but the difference with these leaders and now is that they were not motivated by money. They could not be bribed. They were trained from small in spiritual practice. Even the kings as well. Um, they were saintly kings. But now in society, one is judged um, solely based on one's material possessions, and to some degree that's all well and good, but we don't know the character of the person, where to who they sold out, what did they do to get that wealth. So somebody else may see a bum on the street and think he's a loser, and but the reality is he just may not have been willing, to sell out his people. He may have been a more intelligent, a more talented individual than the millionaire or billionaire, but he probably just wasn't willing to sell out his people and go against his principles. And that's the difference between a lot of the ancient leaders and the leaders of today. They think that is all about them, and it has nothing to do with the Most High. And that's really unfortunate, and that's why we see all the problems we have today, because we somehow think that we can feel happiness by satisfying our senses, and we do not see that there is more benefit to society in general when we follow try to understand what is it that the Most High is desiring of us. A lot of the spiritual leaders, their motivation is not really for the benefit of their congregations, because they are easily motivated by money and abundance, so it's easy for them to sell out their congregations. But the spiritual leaders of the past were not respected for the amount of wealth that they were able to amass, but based on their character. And they received blessings for giving in charity to them. And these leaders would not use the charity given to them for their personal benefit, or like this, to try to satisfy their desires. It was used for the worship of the Most High, or on whatever excess was left was given back to those who needed it. But now in society, because everybody is judged based on material possessions, even from small we are taught, well, at least from my personal experience, we were taught that as long as you're not able to achieve a certain level of success, you are a loser. But when we are motivated by money, we lack substance, and we would do things that are from a sane person's, a sober person's perspective, as very dubious. But if we are motivated by a higher purpose, a spiritual purpose, we are less likely to do things that are detrimental to society. Even those who worship the ancestors and the gods or the goddesses, if they're doing that for some material benefit, to get a house, to get a car, good children, they're only doing that for their own selfish desires, and not seeing the higher purpose. And these same gods still have to go back to the Most High to give them these boons. It's like watering the leaf. Unless the water goes back to the root, they cannot do anything for those who worship them. And all these activities are not really spiritual, because it's all our own selfish desires. It's not based on the greater good of humanity. Because the greater good of humanity is simply doing things for the what would please the Most High. And when we're not cognizant of that, we create a lot of problems in society. And that's what I really wanted to talk about today. It's just that, the fact that when we live our lives in a way that is so selfish, without any purpose, we're just doing what feels good, we create a lot of damage to ourselves and to others. And it creates a chain reaction. So because I want certain things, I would hurt others to get it. And these people hurt others, hurt others. And the people who get hurt the most are the ones who love us the most, because we know they're not going to tolerate our bullshit. You know what I mean? It's just like, a very narcissistic, girlfriend or spouse. She knows you're going to forgive her, but because she has been hurt, and she feels you are the only idiot who's going to take it. That's why they say, the nice guys finish last. But if we understand that what the trauma that we go through is nothing but things to for our development, our reactions to our past karma, it's just our past karma, and that we should be healing from it and growing from it, as opposed to using it as an excuse to hurt others. Then we could actually stop the cycle of hurt and pain. And we shouldn't see life as something where we need to lord it over. It's my son, it's my daughter, it's my wife, it's my this, my that. it's really all owned by the Most High. And when we treat it as such, um, and we see past our just our physical senses, you know, then we are able to live more in gratitude, you know. We are more self-satisfied on a spiritual level, and we are more in tune with what, you know, the Most High wants. We're more sober, and we can see with more clarity because we're not, you know, motivated by, you know, frivolous things. You know, and that's the thing. People are motivated by, you know, money. And if you're motivated by money, how can somebody trust you? You wouldn't do anything because you have a higher purpose. Not everybody's really built for that, you know what I mean? To just do things just for money. People, I mean, to give up your whatever you believe in, your principles, your values, because of a dollar, you know, as opposed to just doing it because it's the right thing to do and you're doing it to the best of your ability. When you're doing it according to your purpose, the money will come, and you will, if that is what the Most High is expecting from you, you will get everything that is coming to you. As a matter of fact, even if you gave up whatever you got was already your quota in life, even if you gave up your beliefs, so there was no point in that. Yeah, and I myself am guilty of that myself, you know, because if I'm not seeing, if I forget my real purpose, my real duties in life, and think that it's all about me and what I want and how I feel today, you know, it's very likely that I will become lethargic. I'll become, you know, I may indulge in things that are not beneficial to my spiritual development, you know, because I don't have any real purpose, you know. The devil finds work for idle hands. And that's what we see in society today. People are just motivated by frivolous things, and they'll sell out their people and their family for $1, you know, and they don't see a higher purpose to life. And they will do things that are not truly beneficial to society at large, because everything is dependent on the dollar, you know. And that's why what I've observed is that a lot of the people who are deemed successful, when I get to know them, you know, they're the most difficult people to relate to be around. If you're a happy person, if you're truly happy, you want to share your happiness with others. But they tend to be very mean spirited, you know, as opposed to a lot of the poor people you know, you know, they tend to be very easy to talk to. They invite you to their homes. They'll, they could be very hospitable, and it's a testament to the fact that a happy person wants to spread happiness. But because these people are hurt, you know, they they put that on others, and you really can judge a person's character based on how they treat the people under them. And if they go to their superiors, they'll want to kiss their ass. People who they want something from. But you really get to know a person based on who's under them. And if they treat them like crap, you know that these people are, that's their real true nature. That's really who they are as a person. And it comes back to the selfishness, the unlimited greed and desire to lord it over, that lust for power, But those who are truly spiritual, they understand that they are one with the Most High, and everybody's one, and the Most High is within everybody's heart. So there's no need to lord it over anybody. And if I have any authority, I have to use it in a way that pleases the Most High, because He's the one that gave it to me. And in that way, we can have a more harmonious society. And those who truly embody that would be the leaders. And those who are subservient would serve them. And it would create a more spiritual society. These are how a lot of the ancient civilizations lived. And this is why they seem to be so much more the technology, everything was way more advanced than ours. And but here we think we are so advanced. We think that our knowledge without the Most High is so, on the more subtle aspects of life, we are more advanced. But you see out there, I mean, they would throw away food just to make sure that the price is a certain level. Tons and tons of food. But this is our economic system. So much hungry people. How can we be advanced? It doesn't make any sense. There's no scarcity. I studied economics. All we need to do is to manage our resources and keep growing food. But we would rather throw it away and people suffer. All because we think that we could lord it over nature. And all these things come back to us in the form of karma. All our activities, we have to pay for it. Even if we pick a fruit from a tree, it's not ours. We have to pay for it. The demigods, the gods in charge of nature, they are responsible. It's not free. It's not coming free. So when we misuse it and we think we try to lord over it, we have to pay for it at some point. However, if we are using it, if we are doing it as an offering, using it as an offering to the Most High, it becomes spiritual. And when we perform activities which are spiritual, there is no karma. We no longer have to pay for it, because we are all constantly reciprocating with the proprietor of everything. There's reciprocation. But if we think that we could lord it over nature when we are actually spiritual beings, but we want to engage in, material activities, it's like a fish trying to survive on land. By nature, we are spiritual, and the only way we could truly, survive this madness that we're in is living according to our spiritual innate nature, which is being connected to the Most High. And but people are constantly, it's very difficult because our desires are torment us every day. We want this, we want that, and we live in a society that has programmed us to be accustomed to a very mundane life. And a lot of our activities are geared to distract us from spiritual practice. So much so that we shun it when we actually see people engage in living a certain lifestyle, and it's unfortunate. So and that's what we see now. I mean, a lot of people, the time we're living in right now, with all this chaos going on, people's motivations are based on they lack so little substance that it's almost a joke. They'll give up everything they believe in, because of fear and this lack of substance and lack of purpose, of a higher purpose, and simply because they just don't love themselves to the level, on a spiritual level. And those who are in power are projecting their selfishness, their greed, their trauma onto the masses. And they are misled because they put in a dream state based on intoxication and all the media it puts them in a sleep state. They're led by their desires and their senses. They can't see past, everybody wants to party, everyone wants to do to be part of the crowd, and it has no substance, it has no real meaning, you know. And as soon as everybody falls under this jurisdiction, you know, it'll be too late. You know, they would have given up all their rights and their connection with the Most High. And by the time they've realized what happened to them, it'll be too late, you know, because they allowed other people who have no, you know, respect for them to take control of their life, because they made no, they refused to take a higher purpose in life, to accept a higher spiritual purpose in life. And there's this higher purpose which gives us this peace that we're yearning for, that everybody's hankering for, which is unlimited. So DNA Matt, what do you think about what I just said? I was thinking about something that just slipped me. Yeah, we give away our power to others, you know. And if we don't have any respect for ourselves, we allow people to walk over us because we don't have a higher purpose. And that is just most unfortunate. You allow people who who don't care about you and your well-being to rule over you. And it shows that the leaders are really a reflection of the society, their subordinates. So if you have dishonest leaders, clearly the citizens are dishonest. This is why in ancient societies, it was only the spiritual leaders were allowed to choose the kings. Because the lower classes, they don't know any better. They don't know what's in their self-interest. And a lot of times, you find that those who are actually doing things that are beneficial or creating positive change in society, they're the ones who are ostracized, because the politicians are there, their motivations are not spiritual. And those who they are leading are motivated by the same destructive things that brought them into power. So even if somebody comes with something positive to change they're most likely to be ostracized in society, which is very unfortunate. This is why, this material world is not meant to be a happy place, because a true gentleman, it's not a place for a true gentleman, and like I was saying earlier, is those who you love are the ones that are treated the worst, those who love the most are treated the worst, because they know, I know that you're gonna take my bullshit, unless that person puts up his guard, they're more likely to be abused, and a lot of the great spiritual leaders, they were killed by their own disciples. And that's one thing again too. I mean, not only one to have authority, one needs to be fit. One needs to be spiritually fit to be an authority figure, but one should also be qualified to be a disciple or a student or subordinate, because even if one has an authority figure, one should understand, yes, he represents God, but if he's not fulfilling his duty as he's supposed to, you as a subordinate should be able to recognize that. So as a student, one should also be fit spiritually and should be qualified to be a disciple, and to be able to recognize, well, my teacher is not up to standard, and able to reject him. And that is why we are not fit to choose our leaders, because we do not recognize what is good, what is not, what is to be done. We have no control over our senses. So how can we make an intelligent choice as to who should lead us? And even if they lead us, how can we recognize whether they're doing a good job or not? All the reason why there's so much chaos in the world today. So not only do our authority figures ought to have a certain standard, but also those who are under them supposed to be intelligent enough to know what is the purpose of the people leading them. Otherwise, the blind would be leading the blind. And if one is a leader, he should be looking for ways to create other leaders, as opposed to just people who just following for following's sake. Why should I be feeding somebody a fish every day when I could teach him how to fish? But that's not what happens in society. We are constantly being taught to be dependent on society. You go to school for 20 years, 30 years, and you still have to go back to the system for a job, or knowledge on things that are not empowering. That's a true mark of a leader, someone who creates other leaders, who could empower others, not somebody who's just power hungry and just looking to be a parasite for the people under him. And that's why you will see in this time that people are losing faith in the government. They're losing faith in religious leaders. They are losing faith in all sections of society, simply because authority figures are not living are not qualified. They're not qualified, and those who they are leading are also not qualified. You know, to even recognize that they are being misled. So the blind is leading the blind, and we have a chaotic society. And this is why from a young age, I was always confused about life, because you grow up thinking that your main purpose in life is to be successful financially. That's it. It just was not something that made me passionate about life, you know. And it was the only thing that really gave me was of really interest to me growing up was the Bible. Nothing else. Everything just seemed very lame, you know what I mean? Because it was just not enough to inspire me to work hard, you know. Why should I even sacrifice when I could enjoy life now? You know what I mean? If that is the goal of life, you know. And, you know, and I could see growing up, like, you know, your parents, like, they treat you like you are their property, as opposed to you know, a spiritual being, you know, like you have higher purposes as opposed to just being, you know, something that they're trying to live their life through, you know. And whatever traumas that they went through, they're projecting it on you. And anytime you try to live a life that they don't understand, or they're not willing to agree with, you get ostracized, you get, you know. And even when you go out, you go to the workplace, it's the same thing. You're seen as a you're not seen as a human being. You're just seen as an asset, something to exploit, you know. They would underpay you. They wouldn't bother to train you, and somehow, even though they're creating problems, you're the person who's supposed to be the cleanup guy. And when you just get burnt out and leave, they're shocked. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. You know. But really, all the people who you think are the most powerful and successful people, I mean, you have to ask yourself, really, how did they get there? Did they really do that? Um, you know, the normal way. You know, did did they not pull strings? You know, because, you know, I living life as growing up, there's a lot of things that I could have done, that I probably would be a lot better off financially, but I wouldn't have any soul at this point in time because I would have to have given up everything that I believed in, you know. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Let me know what y'all think.